So today we are doing the long-awaited, much delayed, because Andrew Barry and them folks could not calm down at the beginning of free agency. Amari Cooper film breakdown. Yeah, you remember when the Browns traded for Amari Cooper, and that was like a big deal. Several moves in the NFL later, we are back around to talk about Amari Cooper, what he adds to the Cleveland Browns, and what his potential is going to be for this team. I think there's a lot of things to look at and a lot of things to love about the specific fit of Amari Cooper in Kevin Stefanski's scheme. I know that's become like a hot button issue with some people, but the scheme in the offense, and also his fit with specifically Deshaun Watson, which I'll get into. Now, the reason I think there is a very high chance here that these two players, if they're healthy and playing together, are going to have a lot of success together is because they love the same things, right? Like Amari loves running the routes that Deshaun loves going to, right? And vice versa. And what I mean by that is Amari loves running post routes. He loves running corners, outs, fades, digs, and double moves. He doesn't really do any straight line routes. Like he needs to cut in order to get that extra separation because that's what he's really good at. He's a really hard seller on his routes. So he is going to sell hard one way. Now, that could be a good thing, and that can also be something that can hurt quarterback play a little bit, just because if you are not a good quarterback and your wide receiver is really good at selling their routes, you can get fooled too if you're not like 100% in chemistry with your wide receiver. We have seen this with Baker Mayfield and Odell Beckham, where Odell would sell a route and Baker would throw the sold route because he's reading the wrong body language. But hopefully that's not an issue with Deshaun Watson, and hopefully it's not an issue if Jacoby Brissett has to get in there. But that is something that he does. That is a positive if you can harness it correctly at the quarterback position, but can be a negative if you can't, right? But he's really good at setting up and branching his route tree. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, I'll try to pull it up on screen here. But basically, this is going to be a rough picture, so don't expect this to be super accurate of a route tree, right? But let's say your route tree looks like this, right? Where there's the 9, you have your post, you have your corner, you have your slant, and then you have your out, and you have you're in and you're out, right? And then vice versa. This is your route tree, right? So there's 2 point of attacks in your route tree, high and low. And what Amari does real well is that line between high and low, both those lines, he runs evenly each time. So you can't tell if he's going to branch out based on how he starts. Some wide receivers, their tree curves, right? Where you could tell they're going to do certain different things by how they're cutting themselves off, or what kind of depth they're giving, or their body positioning, or their body language, right? And that's how teams try to jump those routes. Amari does not really allow you that opportunity because he is a really hard seller, and he's really good at setting up and branching his route trees, which makes him very dangerous in the right kind of offense. He can also be underutilized in the wrong kind of offense because, again, he is not like a DeAndre Hopkins, right? Where DeAndre is just going to get open. That's his skill set, is he's just going to get open. Amari's going to be precise. So if you're in the right offense with Amari, he's going to be precise. DeAndre is more of a throw it up 50-50 ball guy, and he can make a play on the ball kind of deal, right? He's not a technician, but he's overpowered in the skill department, right? Same thing with Stephon Diggs. That's why he excelled with a guy like Josh Allen, who will just give you a 50-50 ball every once in a while. Not saying that he don't run great routes. He does, but that's also an area where he excels. Amari Cooper's not going to be the greatest 50-50 guy. Like, any end zone touchdowns he's going to get is because he's a technician as a route runner, and not because he's this overbearing athlete at the position that's going to reach over and make spectacular catches. This is not who he is, right? He's less Odell Beckham, and he's more of a technician there, right? I'm trying to think of the right wide receiver to kind of compare him to. He's like a fast Jarvis Landry almost, right? Well, Jarvis kind of makes some 50-50 catches, but he's like like if Jarvis sacrificed everything that he had when it comes to the spectacular catches and just put that in speed, that would be what he is. As a wide receiver. If that comp makes sense, I hope it does. I don't know if it made a ton of sense, to be honest with you. All right. So before I get into this, I want to mention that for both Deshaun Watson and for Amari Cooper, if you're interested in learning more about them, and not just from me, but from other sources, they both each have a episode of Baldy Breakdowns, which is like a Gruden quarterback camp kind of style video where they have like a coach in there, they have Baldy in there, and they're like with the player, like actually with the player going through plays, having them talk through what they're going through. They're like 30 minutes a piece, and they're a lot more in-depth than I could ever hope to get because I just don't have that kind of access, right? So if you want more information to add on top of this after you watch this video now, don't be jumping on me, don't be cheating on me like that. But after you watch this video, you go check that out. Those are very helpful and very informative if you want to learn more about how this offense is going to be ran and what these two players are really good at and what they look for in their play and how to get the ball right. I think it's very interesting how that happens and how that went about. All right, let's look at some tape now, right? Because I mentioned that Amari Cooper is a good seller of his routes, and we want to see what he can do in the red zone. So this is going to be a play here where it's single high coverage, right? So one safety. There is a safety in the box. I believe 43 is technically a safety, but they have a safety in the box. And I think this is man, right? Now let me see, because I want to see if they react to this motion real quick before I determine this is man. But yeah, so play this out. Yeah, see, they're reacting to the motion, so it's man here. And it's single high. And Amari right here has the route to beat this coverage, right? And that route is this corner route, right? He's going to beat his coverage because he should get one-on-one coverage with him. He should slide over, get that one-on-one coverage. This safety, even if they chase, if they're a little late, they're not really going to be there. Just an accurate ball can get it in there. More than likely, safety's holding for something deep. So we're going to see how this play plays out. And then, yep, he gets the safety one-on-one. That safety's holding out for that deep route on the 10 on the other side of the field to make sure that doesn't come across his face. And Amari just smooth, swiftly beats him over the top. And I will mention, this is a bad ball by Dak Prescott. Underthrown ball. It wasn't underthrown to the point to where it wasn't a catchable ball, but it definitely could have put this DB back into play if this DB had turned his head around, right, and located the ball. A better matchup would probably stop that play because you see how this ball is underthrown and he has to come back to it instead of having it thrown with the right depth that he could just run under it and just catch it and keep his separation. So that's something when you see with Dak, and honestly with a lot of the Dallas Cowboys tape, it does pop up a lot of underthrown footballs. Not enough to where it impedes their progress completely, and not inaccurate enough to be a real issue, but something to keep your eye on, right? It's something that I thought I was going to see out of Deshaun Watson when I saw his tape, but I just didn't see it enough to think it was significant. All right, so this right here, these two plays I'm going to put here together, they're from two different games, but this is a great example of how he branches his routes properly, right? Of how he can turn a route and confuse a DB simply by making a route look like it's supposed to be something when it ain't going to be that something, because he just keeps these things identical, right, at the line of scrimmage. It's a great skill that he has, and he takes advantage of it on the football field a lot, right? And here we go here, where he runs just a basic fade, right? Basic fade to the pylon, gets a good ball, and then he's able to make the play, right? So good route, good ball, touchdown, Amari Cooper. All right, so right here, he's in a similar situation. I believe this is almost the same yardage, same half of the field, right? Yeah, same yardage, same half of the field, and they go to this play, right? Where it's just a fade. And, you know, my man here has watched this tape. He knows that Amari likes to go to that fade route in these situations. So he is trying to be prepared about this, right? He probably knows what's coming, and he's going to try to stop it, right? But look at what Amari does. Same spot, runs a fade. Oh, cuts it in. Boom. Wins the route, right? He's not winning the route when it's a fade, right? When it looks like a fade. Now, he didn't improvise this by any means. This is definitely pre-coordinated, right? But look, I think that's Sean Murphy bunting, right? So he knows he's not going to outrun him, and then he just comes back. Boom, ball. That's what I mean by setting up and branching, right? Where he sets it up so it looks the same every time, and then he branches it. All right, so that's one of the things that he's really good at, is just setting up and branching. Let's look at some of the routes that he runs that I think Deshaun's going to like. This one right here is one that we saw a lot. If you watch that Deshaun Watson tape, make sure you check it out, which is the slant, right? The shallow slant. Deshaun likes going there from the slot. Here's Amari running a good one. Bad ball by Cooper Rush here. So this almost gets picked off, but it should have been like 10 yards. So that's not Amari's fault, obviously, but just a good cut there and way to win the route at the top of it, and he wins it there. So he can run that route. That is a check. That's a route that Deshaun likes, that Amari is very good at. Let's look at double moves. Does he have a double move? We know that from the tape that Deshaun likes throwing those double moves every once in a while. Does he have a double move that he can go to? Oh, I would think that answers the question in the positive, right? Again, he's so dangerous running those slants, running those ins and outs and all that, and just forming his route tree, right? He turns his hips. This guy bites. Just hard step, cut, boom, baby, it's wide open. And a better ball, this is a touchdown, but again, Amari has to come back to it. He could have outran the coverage, right? But with a better ball, because he had the angle on the guy. Like, it's not a terrible angle that the safety has. But if he's able to just run instead of slow down here, and you get that ball maybe to like the 50 or maybe even a 55 and hit him in stride, oh, man, that's a touchdown. So, yes, he does have the double move. What about finding soft spots in his zone and just setting it, right? Boom, right here. Finds a soft spot, slides over to it, right? Slides over, finds a passing lane. That's important, right? You see how he finds a passing lane, right? He scoots over to help Dak out. Well, no, that's Cooper Rush, my bad. He gets here, sets, slides to get to the open window in the passing lane. And then he, boom, slides in there, catches the ball. He's going to do this again on this play, where he is going to pop out. Oh, no, this is something different. My bad. All right, so this is something that we thought was going to happen a lot with Odell. For whatever reason, they didn't take advantage of it, or it didn't happen. But Amari is going to occupy this safety's attention. You see here, 23, that safety's occupied right now with Amari Cooper, who is on the outside running a go, right? And that's going to open up this route completely, because then it just turns into single coverage with a low man here. So there is this window right here for Cooper Rush to hit. So that opens things up, and this is a touchdown for Cedric Wilson. But if you notice, it's opened up because that safety vacates and leaves his man single covered. And why did he do that? Because Amari Cooper was on the outside. All right. This one right here is him just finding his spot in zone and checking it, right? Just right here. Okay, so where's my spot? Let me slide, catch it, run. It's real basic stuff, but you like to see it. And then here is something that, this is a route that I saw in the two games I looked at for him that I felt like could have been better. Is this one right here. It's an incomplete ball for a reason. But this is right here. It looks like he's setting. It's open, by the way. I don't know why Cooper just doesn't take it right there. He's looking right at him. But again, it's Cooper Rush, so I'm not going to be too critical. But he is looking dead at Amari, right? Like, Amari wide open. And he he didn't even try. But that's Cooper Rush. So we shouldn't really expect that much out of him. He doesn't throw it. He goes here. And I think what they're trying to do is like a hard sell, right? Sell that he's going to go short and then beat him over top. But if that's what they're going to do, Amari needs to stay here longer because you notice, watch 22 here. It's Harrison Smith, right? He doesn't bite on this route until Amari is turning his hips. And by then he's able to just turn his hips and run with them. So it's not open. But if Amari waits for Harrison to crash just a couple of yards downfield till Harrison has to declare where he's going, right? So he has to actually commit to going downhill. Then all of a sudden it's going to be harder for him to jump back and run with Amari. And Amari would have gotten open. But since Amari kind of wasn't patient on this route, and I guess he thought the pocket was going to collapse, even though I think the pocket was fine in this play, he kind of panicked. Well, not panicked. I don't want to say panicked. That's a hard word. But he just dropped out of this a little bit early, right? By the time he's ready to turn his hips is when Harrison was ready to go downfield. And again, just a fraction of a second, right? Just half a second. Where if this moment that Harrison Bryant is planning and setting and running is just a half a second later, if he just holds a little bit later, I think you get him. But since you didn't, he had the good enough angle to be on the route. And maybe you can make that throw with accurate enough football, but it's Cooper Rush, dog. But that is my first look at Amari Cooper, the film breakdown for him. I think it's a good fit. I think it's a great fit for this offense, both if Deshaun's in there and also if Jacoby Brissett has to play. I think this is a good fit for them. Let me know what you think down in the comment section below. But again, guys, thank you for watching. I want you guys to have a great day. Have a good night.